Hi, I'm William Wise.
Okay, so obviously that wasn't my voice. That was my son Dylan answering for me. Here's the deal. We're going to do a little hot seat with me today. It really is William Wise. But in this hot seat episode, Ariana's going to ask me the questions, and you guys need to let me know what you think about the answers. And then we'll get into our study on how it's important to know who you're speaking for.
How did you meet Ariana?
I was on a cruise ship in pajamas.
What's your favorite animal?
My favorite animal is a fish.
What would you do if you won the lottery?
I would buy 1 billion Pokemon cards.
If you could be invisible or fly, which would you choose?
Invisibility, because then I'll destroy every other army.
And last question. Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Heck no!
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument. Horseradish is not an instrument either.
What's wrong with you?
Hey guys, this is Jason at Packinghouse Christian Fellowship in Redlands, California. We're going to check in with my friend William today for some words of wisdom.
Hey guys, this week I want to speak to you about the importance of knowing who you're answering for. Now I want to share a passage from 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 15, but I need you to understand 4 important words in this passage before we get started. Those words are sanctify, defense, meekness, and fear. So sanctify is to set apart and to make holy. Okay, sanctify is to set apart as holy. Okay, defense is to defend and protect something that is important to you. It isn't offense, okay, to offend or anything. It is defense, to protect something important to you. Meekness, now that's a word that is most normally compared to like a horse, okay? Meekness, we think of it wrongly and think of it as weakness. It's not that. Meekness is a strong, powerful horse that has been bridled and controlled by its master. In our case, that's Jesus, so that we can be powerful, but we can also be controlled. Meekness. And that 4th word, fear. Now that isn't, are you scared of the dark kind of fear. That is to respect, okay? That when we speak of someone else, that we would fear that we would misrepresent them or offend them without them being there, talking behind their back, those kinds of things. That we would fear the giving of a bad name to someone, okay? That kind of fear. So now let's look at 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 15, which says, "But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, and always be ready to give a defense to everyone who asks you a reason for the hope that is in you, with meekness and fear." Okay, so we saw those 4 words, right? So we need to what? Right? We are answering for God, okay? We need to be ready to give an answer when people ask us questions about God. And we see those 4 words again, all right? It says, sanctify the Lord God in your hearts. So first we need to make sure that we make God holy, right? That he is set apart and holy, not set apart and untouchable. Okay, that's different. It's not grandma's china cabinet with those little angel figurines that you were never allowed to touch when you were a kid. That's not that kind of sanctified. It means set apart as holy and respected. Okay, not that you can't touch, but that you can be there, but respectfully, that he is different than you and I. He is a holy God, right? We set him apart as holy. Then we have to be ready to give a defense. Now, I think that's very important to look at that real closely, is that we are to give a defense, not an offense, okay? Often, if we as Christians hear someone say something negative about God, we just kind of put them down. We use our words the wrong way. We hurt them, and we really just build a wall up for them against God instead of building a bridge to God. So we are to defend, which means protect, the God who we have set apart as holy. okay? Then we have to do those things with meekness and fear, right? That we have to do it controlled by our master God. That we would do it with power, but power that has been controlled by God. That we don't just lash out in our own strength to defend God, but that we would use the power given to us by God and the control He's given us to give them an answer in meekness and fear, right? And what is that? Not, are you scared of the dark? But that we would be concerned about whether we will represent Him well, and that we will give answers that are correct to it. Now, that funny video you watched at the beginning with my son answering these questions on the hot seat was entertaining, but obviously he did not know the right answers to give. He was not prepared to give a defense, an answer, a protection for the real answers of who I am, how I met Ariana. Is mayonnaise an instrument? And I think we can all agree, no. But those things were fun. But imagine that we do that for God, that people ask us, hey, you know God, what does He think about this? And that we would make something up would be ridiculous, or it would misrepresent Him. We need to fear that we would misrepresent Him, and we have to answer in an appropriate way instead. Okay, let me share this quote with you from William T. Toms. He said, "Be careful how you live. You may be the only Bible some people ever read, or you will be the only Bible some people ever read." And that's very true. Some people will never pick up a Bible, but when they think of God and they think of Christianity, they may think of you. You may be the only link they have to the Christian faith. They may think, what do I know about Christian faith? Well, I don't own a Bible, but I saw them. They're a Christian. Let's look at how they live so I can understand how and what they believe. Are we representing God in that way? Are we being careful with our lives so that people can read Jesus in us? Okay. Now, the last passage I want to share with you, which kind of is going to be to sum it all up here with this idea of answering properly for God, is actually found in 1 Timothy. And it's a very famous verse, and most of us watching are young and will understand this. 1 Timothy 4 verse 12 in the New Living Translation says, "Don't let anyone think less of you because you are young. Be an example to all believers in what you say, in the way you live, in your love, your faith, and your purity." See, guys, we are to live out the Christian work. We don't have to tattoo it on our foreheads or tattoo it on our arms, and that's how they read the Bible on us. We don't have to go out and put a milk carton on the corner of the street and start shouting the Bible verses to people. If that's what you want to do, God will lead you that way, first off. But I don't think that's exactly what He's saying. He's saying that we share the word by the way we live, by the way we act in our homes, by the way we act when we're walking around the block, at our jobs, at our schools, in our social events, that how we act is how we portray God, and that is ultimately the Bible they will read in us. So with those in mind, just remember this last verse here in 1 Timothy. Do these things. Live the way that is right. Live in love. Live in faith. Live in purity. In doing those things, you will be giving the right answer when people ask you about who God is. That you would be loving, that you would be pure, that you would live in a way that is faithful. And in doing those things, you will be the Bible that every one of us need to read. Have a great week.